can I help you? That facade there, it used to be periwinkle. I'm sure of it. My God. I am so glad you asked. Well, settle in, for I shall now tell you the most fascinating story in history. Now, our story begins in the Dark Ages, as most great British stories do, when the Mountbattens were nothing more than a peculiar little clan of blacksmiths, specializing in the fascinatingly specific art of horse bells. Yes, indeed. Back then, you could dedicate your entire life to a single type of work and never really face any kind of pushback from your loved ones. But I digress. Now, the Mountbattens managed to eke out an animal life, as admirable as peasants could be in those times, and that is why they were picked to assist in a war of... well, I can't exactly recall the date, but it was one of those important wars, the kind that gets etched into history books. Well, my ancestors, who I believe were descendants of crafty little Frenchmen, they designed the horse mounts for the richest man in their particular side of this little island of ours. Of course, they did a rather poor job, which is why they were forced to go into hiding, followed by a hasty name change to the clan name we have today, the Mountbattens. Not exactly the perfect plan, because the word mount is right there. Oh, but those people spent their days frolicking around in the mud, so we can't exactly blame them for not being so forward-thinking now, can we? Well, skip ahead a few centuries, and the Mountbattens have evolved from lowly craftsmen to beloved artisans. That is to say, they made art out of metal, not that they were artists. God knows my family would not approve of anyone going into the arts. The only difference between a beggar and an artist is that a beggar doesn't make you pay to watch him panhandle. Anyway, it wasn't long before the Mountbattens realized that metalwork would soon become a rather unstable source of employment, and that's when they made the switch into more acceptable lines of work. Farmers, miners, housewives, rail workers, the sort. Skip a few hundred years of simple living and you get to the modern age. Ah, yes. Did you know my great-great-grandfather was supposed to die in one of the first Great Wars? At least, I think it was my great-great-grandfather. I can't recall. Oh, well, they pegged his chance of survival at 5%. Said he was meant to rot in the bottom of the trench. But the old bastard made it through. We don't really know how. That's the thing about us Mountbatten men. We have a way for surviving despite the odds being ever against our favor. I suppose that explains me. Our surprising survival rates meant that we had a head start when it came to reoccupying the workforce. And that is how it's true. Isn't that just amazing? I know. I'm flabbergasted as well. And it's my personal history. Indeed.